Good evening, my friends. Welcome to Carpo's channel. As I wind out my thoughts, I want to start out, I guess, by talking about shills. Anyone who has a different opinion online is now a shill. This isn't, it's a rather new, I should say, shills have always existed, and for those who are unaware of what a shill is, it's someone who's paid to promote a product, for example. Someone who may be paid to go to Reddit or YouTube, go to a video about a particular product and say, oh my god, these potatoes are amazing, I love them, I have them all the time, and this is where I get mine. Or even going to a video that's opposing something and saying, no, this is a great product, and there are a lot of systems in place for them to do that. They know how to get a certain amount of upvotes so they can be moved to more bigger platforms where they can be seen by more viewers. And it is a racket, you know, but it comes to the caveat emptor, buyer beware, you know. But this is when we're talking about products. Now there's shills that are also out there trying to convince people that, oh, there's nothing to see here, and that, you know, what you think is true is not, you know, these are not the droids you're looking for. And so over the past several years, especially, well, I'd say about 5 years ago when I was really into the controversial stuff, I talked about a lot of occult knowledge, my own opinions on chemtrails and conspiracies, and it was every day several times that I was labeled a shill. So I'd have these conversations with people and say, well, how exactly am I being paid for this? And they'd say, oh, it's just a shill channel. And I'd say, well, I have 3,000 videos talking about random things. So if I were a shill, you know, I've put a hell of a lot of effort in for not getting anything out of it. I said, you know, that's the world we live in. It's become a conspiracy within the conspiracy community to believe that anyone who disagrees with us is a shill. And I find that a little bit sad, because I feel like the whole of humanity does understand life better than the individual. Now there are some individuals who get things more than their average counterparts, their peers, of course, but generally, even when we think we have it figured out, and it's usually when we're younger, and we look around and say, how can these people not get it? And then we get older and realize, well, even if you get it, you have to carry that thought on and those ideas on through your whole life. So sometimes you realize, the old Socrates, you know, the greatest wisdom lies in knowing you know nothing. And of course doesn't mean you know nothing. It just means that you know how to have enough humility to realize when you don't know as much as you think you know. What a way to word it. For example, when I make this channel, you know, I know that I have a lot of wisdom, and I also know I have a lot of knowledge, but I also know I fall vastly short of the wisdom and knowledge of those who I talk with, who are far beyond me. But what we're basing this on is moving forward. You know, it's an assuming progression. When I say someone has more wisdom, you know, what exactly is wisdom? So I think it's important when we have a conversation, if, say, we're to post a video, and someone says, hey, what you're making the claim here isn't true. And then rather than the person explaining why they think it is true, you're instantly a shill. An example would be a video I did a couple years ago about orgonite. And the arguments, I guess, a couple popped up last week. I forgot I even had the video, but they said, you know, you're a fool. And then another comment, you know, from the same person says, you're a fool, you don't realize the person was probably using the wrong crystals in their orgonite, or they were using fake sand, like the kind that you find in ashtrays. I was like, you know, if you don't know what orgonite is, it's, you know, a collection of resin with a bunch of crystals and shavings. I don't want to go into the details, but I had my suspicions about many of these New Age things. So it's not just within the New Age, or the conspiracy community, if you will, but it's within the New Age community too. That anyone who disputes that this magical, you know, evil warding pendant, if someone questions it may not work, or like the video I made the other day about the empty baggies, you know, quantum fluctuator bags, that's the kind of stuff people are trying to sell. You throw the word quantum on something, you tell them it heals you, and if enough people have a placebo effect, you feel righteous in the fact that, hey, it works, and this person said it worked. But There's so many liars, shills, charlatans, thieves, you know, horrible business people out there, and so I can't really blame people for thinking suspiciously. But I just want to say, you know, that more often than not, if someone disagrees with us, it's most likely that they have a different opinion. Not that they're a paid shill or a disinformant, because there are a lot of videos, a lot of blogs, and a lot of information out there that people just will disagree with, and that's how it is. And some disagree for the sake of disagreement, whether they know anything about it or not, but others really have something to say. And I think that listening to our fellow man and understanding why they think differently than we do is the only way that we're going to understand things for ourselves. So I just wanted to put that out there. You know, the old shill label just doesn't fly. You know, most of the time it's just an excuse because the person has no evidence to support their claims. Or they're so wrapped up in the evidence they believe is true that, you know, they're not willing to look at the other side. And often they will tell the person who's disagreeing, you need to wake up. Oh, you need to become aware. You know, the rest of us are so awake. And I look at these groups of people who claim to be awake and I say, well, what do you have to offer the world? What are you doing? What are you presenting? You know, what are your groups doing besides, you know, selling online courses to open up your chakras and, you know, pay us $500 for a session where we can help you to find your life purpose and path, you know, and it's garbage. You know, it's almost like it's not okay for some people, you know, don't talk bad about spirituality, don't talk bad about, you know, the great things that help people. Hey, maybe it helps people. But more people I've spoken to, it drains their wallet. I've talked to a lot of people who are embarrassed to say that they spend a whole bunch of money on self-help books and crystals and pendants and all this to find out that really it's just life that was getting them down. Life is tough. We have a lot to cope with. There's a lot of suffering out there, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of fear, and it doesn't have to be within us, but it's going to be within a lot of other people. And so we have to learn how to respond to people appropriately so we're not insulting them. Some people are very sensitive. Some people have just ridiculous comments they say where they'll just scathingly curse at someone that doesn't agree with them. And rather than giving them the middle finger, sometimes it's best to say, hey man, you know, I'm sorry you feel this way, but, you know, why are you so upset about it? Just because you don't agree with someone doesn't mean you have to get angry about it. I mean, there are plenty of people I don't agree with, but for example, I don't go to the flat earther channels and websites merely to argue with them because I disagree. It's a waste of my time. It's like a Christian coming to an atheist channel to argue, or an atheist going to a Christian channel to argue. If you believe what you believe, and you truly stand behind it, then why are you trying to fish for, you know, discussion? It's because we're all unsure. We're all just human, and we're all just trying to figure this out together. And I'd say 99.99% of the people out there are not shills, disinformants, or liars, or thieves. They're just people trying to understand the world around them. So when we start treating each other respectfully as a community, just because we're behind screens doesn't mean we can't treat each other with respect. Then I think we can make something great out of, you know, these platforms that we have to share. And, you know, it's gotten a lot better. YouTube used to be the Wild West. It was much worse. I know a lot of, you know, creators today say, well, YouTube is horrible now because they're censoring everything. And well, what's going on with the psychedelic thing, that's something completely separate. But most of the people complaining about censoring say that they're just being demonetized, or that their videos have to be age restricted. And I say, well, you're playing the game of the corporations. If you're getting paid through YouTube, you're getting paid through AdSense. That means that corporations are paying you. If you're not going to play the corporate game, don't expect to get free money. Being a YouTuber doesn't mean that you're getting paid through the YouTubers. You're getting paid through the companies that advertise. It's that simple. So stop whining about it. If you want to use Patreon, that's a completely different system. But, you know, it's a lot harder, of course. People make a lot more money on views. But, you know, YouTube is a platform. It is a place for people to share. But it's also a business. And people have to remember that. So, but there's another side to it, is now that they are a main platform for sharing, that there should be an obligatory respect and understanding that comes with that. That yes, you are a business, but let me give you a quick comparison. I thought about YouTube earlier. I thought, well, someone could say, hey, if you don't like YouTube, you can just go somewhere else or go to another place to share your videos. And I thought of it as similar to an old western town where someone's literally standing on their soapbox preaching to the town, and another guy comes up and says, "Hey, I want to stand up in your soapbox." And the guy says, "Well, get your own. This is mine." But then you find out that there aren't any more soapboxes in town. There's no more to stand on. It's the only one. And that's kind of how it is with the platform of our online sharing. Facebook, for example, there are other places for social media, but many people are trapped. Billions of people are trapped into that because they've organized it that way. So these platforms like Facebook and YouTube should be obligated to the people that use them. And that includes freedom of speech on YouTube to say whatever we want. So I won't go into the censorship aspect right now. That's a different story. But I hope you all have a good day. I just wanted to get that out and just ramble about shills for a minute. So I'm getting ready to go to a concert tonight. I'm going to go see Lotus. I'm stoked. Leaving in about an hour. So dance time. Peace.